It was a cold evening outside, the kind where you can see your breath in the air like little clouds. Inside Dawson's diner, though, it was warm and noisy. The little restaurant was full of people talking, laughing, and eating. The smell of fresh burgers floated everywhere, making your tummy rumble just by walking in. Plates clinked, fries sizzled in the kitchen, and waitresses zoomed around with trays. People came in and out, some in a hurry, some taking their time. It was a busy place, the kind where you might not notice everything going on around you. But then, the door creaked open, and a quiet man slipped inside. He didn't make a big entrance. No one turned to look at him. He was just there. He wore an old jacket that looked like it had seen better days. The sleeves were frayed, and there was a little hole near the pocket. On his head, he had a cap pulled down low, so you couldn't really see his eyes. In his hands, he carried a small backpack, the kind you might take on a short trip. It was dirty and worn, like he'd been carrying it for a long time. To everyone in the diner, customers, waitresses, even the cook peeking out from the kitchen, he looked like just another guy. Maybe a traveler passing through town. Maybe someone with no place special to go. Nobody, they thought. But here's the thing, they were wrong. Totally wrong. This man wasn't just any guy. His name was Tom Dawson, and he had a secret. A big one. A secret so huge it could turn this whole diner upside down, like flipping a table full of food. No one knew it yet, not the people eating their burgers, not the staff wiping down counters, not even the noisy kids spilling ketchup in the corner. Tom looked ordinary on the outside, but inside, he was something else. Something way more important than anyone could guess. And tonight, that secret was about to start changing things. Let's picture it. The diner was small but cozy. Round tables were scattered around, some with red checkered tablecloths. The walls had old pictures of happy families eating pie, and a big sign that said Dawson's Diner, good food, good friends. The windows were steamed up from the cold outside meeting the warm inside. People sat in booths, munching on fries and sipping milkshakes. A lady in a blue coat was telling her friend a funny story. Two truck drivers in hats were eating big plates of chicken and gravy. A little boy was drawing on a napkin with a crayon while his mom cut his burger into bites. Everyone was busy with their own stuff. No one cared about the quiet man who walked in. Tom moved slowly, like he didn't want to be noticed. He stepped past a table where a guy was complaining about his soup being too cold. He slid by a waitress balancing 3 plates at once. She didn't even look at him. He found a spot near the counter and stood there for a second, looking around. His cap hid his face, but if you peeked close, you might see his eyes sharp and watching everything. He wasn't loud or pushy like some customers. He didn't wave his arms or yell for a seat. He just waited, quiet as a mouse. But that quiet? It was hiding something big. See, Tom wasn't here by accident. This wasn't just a random stop for him. Dawson's Diner wasn't just any old place to grab a bite. It was his diner. Yup, you heard that right, Tom Dawson was the boss, the owner, the guy who started it all. But no one knew that. Not yet. He didn't look like a boss. Bosses are supposed to wear fancy suits and talk loud, right? Tom wasn't like that. He looked like someone who might ask for spare change, not someone who owned a whole bunch of restaurants. And that was the trick. He was undercover, like a spy in a movie, checking on his own place without anyone knowing who he really was. Why was he here? Well, Tom had a reason. He'd been traveling around, visiting all his diners. He had lots of them, not just this one, but tons, all over the country. He wanted to see how they were doing. Were the workers nice? Was the food good? Were people happy? He didn't trust just hearing about it from someone else. He wanted to see it with his own eyes. So he put on old clothes, grabbed his beat-up backpack, and went out to look. Tonight, he picked this diner, his first one, the one he built years ago with his own hands. It meant a lot to him. But he wasn't ready for what he was about to find. As Tom stood there, the diner kept buzzing. A bell dinged in the kitchen, another order was up. A waitress named Sarah rushed by with a tray of drinks. The cashier, a guy named Mike, was counting money and grumbling about something. Customers chatted about their day. Everything seemed normal. But Tom's secret was like a bomb waiting to go off. He wasn't just here to eat a burger. He was here to watch, to listen, to see if this place was still what he wanted it to be. And soon, very soon, something was going to happen that would make everyone's jaw drop. Before we go on, what do you think Tom's hiding? Drop your guess below. I'll give you a hint, it's bigger than you'd expect. Okay, picture this, Tom's standing there, looking like a regular guy, but he's got power no one sees yet. What would you do if you were him? Would you stay quiet, or would you shout who you are? Tell me in the comments. And hey, if you like stories where secrets get revealed, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Tom walked up to the counter at Dawson's Diner, his tummy making loud growling noises. He was hungry, really hungry. He'd been driving all day, going from one place to another, checking on all his businesses. This diner was his last stop, and he was ready for a big, juicy burger. His old jacket swished as he moved, and his cap stayed low over his eyes. He rubbed his hands together, thinking about food, when something happened that stopped him cold. The door creaked open behind him, and a new person came in. It was a homeless man. His clothes were old and torn, hanging off him like rags. His shoes had holes, and his hands shook a little, maybe from the cold outside. He didn't look at anyone. He just shuffled up to the counter, right behind Tom, and spoke in a quiet voice. "Can I have a cup of water, please?" he asked. "Just water. Nothing big or fancy." He wasn't asking for a burger or fries, just a little drink. The cashier, a guy named Mike, was standing behind the counter. Mike was tall, with a mean look on his face. He had a red apron tied around his waist and a pencil tucked behind his ear. When he heard the homeless man, he didn't smile or nod. Instead, he made an ugly face, like he just smelled something bad. "No cash, no service," Mike said, his voice sharp and loud. "Get out before I call the cops." He pointed at the door, like he was shooing away a fly. The homeless man didn't fight back. His shoulders dropped, like all the air went out of him. His head hung low, and he turned around to leave. His shoes dragged on the floor, making a soft scraping sound. A few customers sitting nearby laughed quietly. One guy in a green hat snickered and whispered something to his friend. Another lady sipping a milkshake rolled her eyes and kept eating. They didn't care. To them, it was just a little show, nothing important. But Tom didn't laugh. He didn't move. He stood there, frozen, like a statue. His eyes got small and narrow, watching everything. His hands balled up into fists inside his jacket pockets. He didn't say a single word, but inside his head, something big was happening. His heart started beating faster, and his chest felt tight. He was mad, really mad. Something was boiling up inside him, like water bubbling in a pot that's about to spill over. See, Tom wasn't just some regular guy stopping for a snack. He was special. He was the owner of Dawson's Diner. Yup, the big boss. He'd made this place with his own hands a long time ago. Back then, he had a dream. He wanted it to be a spot where everyone could come, old people, young people, rich people, poor people. Everyone. He wanted it to be warm and friendly, a place where you could eat and feel good, no matter who you were. That's what Dawson's Diner was supposed to be. But this wasn't it. Tom looked at Mike, the cashier with the mean face. Mike was acting like he was the king of the diner, bossing people around. He didn't care about being nice. He didn't care about the homeless man who just wanted water. And those customers laughing? They weren't helping either. Tom's diner, his diner, was turning into something he didn't like. Something mean and cold. And that made him feel sick inside. The homeless man was almost at the door now. His shaky hands pushed it open, and a gust of cold air blew in. Tom could see him through the steamy window, walking away into the dark. No one else seemed to notice. Mike went back to counting money, flipping coins like nothing happened. The lady with the milkshake slurped the last of it up. The guy in the green hat kept talking to his friend. Life in the diner went on, loud and busy, like the homeless man was never even there. But Tom couldn't let it go. He stayed right where he was, standing at the counter. His tummy was still growling, but now he wasn't thinking about burgers. He was thinking about what he just saw. He was thinking about Mike's mean words, no cash, no service. He was thinking about the homeless man's sad face. And he was thinking about his diner, his special place, turning into something he didn't want it to be. Inside his head, Tom was making a plan. He didn't say it out loud yet. He didn't yell or stomp his feet. He just stood there, quiet, watching Mike like a hawk. Mike didn't know it, but Tom was the boss. The real boss. Not just of this diner, but of lots of diners all over the place. Tom had power, big power, and he wasn't going to let this slide. Something was wrong here, and he was going to fix it. But first, he had to see more. He had to know if this was just Mike being mean, or if his diner had bigger problems. The air in the diner felt heavy now, even with all the chatter and noise. Tom took a deep breath, his nose filling with the smell of fries and coffee. He could hear the cook in the kitchen banging pots. He could see a waitress rushing by with a tray. Everything looked normal on the outside, but Tom knew better. Trouble was brewing, like a storm getting ready to hit. And he was right in the middle of it. Mike finished counting his money and looked up. "Hey, you," he said to Tom, his voice grumpy. "You gonna order or what?" Tom didn't answer right away. He just stared at Mike, his eyes hard and serious. Mike didn't like that. He frowned and crossed his arms. "What's your problem, huh?" he snapped. But Tom stayed quiet. He wasn't ready to talk yet. Not yet. He had a secret, and he was going to use it when the time was right. For now, Tom just turned away from the counter. He walked to a little table in the corner and sat down. He pulled his cap a little lower and watched. He watched Mike. He watched the customers. He watched the waitresses. He was like a detective, looking for clues. Something bad was happening in his diner, and he was going to figure it out. That homeless man? That was just the start. Tom could feel it in his bones. Things were about to get messy. Tom stood there in Dawson's diner, still mad about what he saw with the homeless man. But he didn't yell or make a scene, not yet. He decided to keep his secret safe for now. He wanted to watch more, to see what was really going on in his diner. So he took a deep breath, walked back to the counter, and ordered a burger. "Just a burger," he said to Mike, keeping his voice low. Mike grunted, scribbled it down, and turned away like Tom was nothing special. That was fine with Tom. He didn't want Mike to know who he really was, not yet. Tom took his plate when it was ready and found a little booth in the corner. It was a quiet spot, away from the noisy customers and the busy counter. He slid into the seat, his old jacket crinkling, and pulled his cap down low over his eyes. From here, he could see everything. The whole diner was like a show, and Tom was the secret watcher. He took a bite of his burger, but he wasn't really thinking about the food. His eyes were busy, looking at Mike, the staff, and the people eating. Mike was loud. Really loud. He stood behind the counter like he was the king of the diner, barking orders at everyone. "Hurry up with those fries," he yelled at the cook. "Clean that table now," he snapped at a waitress. His voice was sharp, like a dog barking at strangers. The staff jumped when he talked, rushing to do what he said. But they didn't look happy. One waitress, a girl named Sarah, rolled her eyes when Mike wasn't looking. She had short brown hair and a tired face, like she'd been working all day. She didn't argue with Mike, though. She just kept her mouth shut and carried her tray of drinks to a table. Customers weren't happy either. A man in a red shirt waved his hand and called out, "Hey, these fries are cold." Mike didn't care. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Eat 'em or don't. I'm not your mom." The man grumbled and poked at his food. Another lady at a different table said her soup was too salty, but Mike didn't even look at her. He was too busy counting money or bossing people around. Tom watched it all, his jaw getting tight. He didn't like this. His diner was supposed to be a happy place, not a place where people got mad or ignored. Tom pulled out a little book from his backpack. It was small, with a black cover and pages that were a little wrinkled. He grabbed a pencil from his pocket and started writing. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Every mean thing Mike said, he wrote it down. Every rude look Mike gave, he wrote that too. When Sarah rolled her eyes, he added that. When the man complained about cold fries, Tom made a note. His handwriting was messy, but he didn't care. This was his way of keeping track. He saw everything, and he wasn't going to forget. And that homeless man? The one Mike kicked out? Tom couldn't stop thinking about him. His shaky hands, his sad face, the way he walked away into the cold. Tom saw it all over again in his head. It made his chest hurt. He'd built this diner to be a place for everyone, even people who didn't have money. But Mike didn't care about that. Mike only cared about cash and being the boss. Tom's pencil moved faster as he thought about it. He wrote, "Homeless man asked for water." Mike said no. The words looked angry on the page, like they were shouting back at him. Time went by. The clock on the diner wall ticked and ticked. Hours passed, slow and steady. Tom finished his burger, but he didn't get up to leave. He stayed in his booth, sipping a glass of water, watching like a hawk. The diner got quieter as people finished eating and left. The man with the cold fries paid and walked out. The lady with the salty soup left a tiny tip and grumbled on her way to the door. Sarah kept working, wiping tables and carrying dishes, her face still tired. Mike kept being loud, telling everyone what to do. Finally, it was closing time. The last customer, a kid with a balloon, left with his mom. Mike flipped the sign on the door to closed and locked it with a big click. The cook turned off the stove, and Sarah started sweeping the floor. Tom stayed in his corner, pretending to look at his empty plate. He wanted to see what Mike would do now. And then he heard it, Mike laughing. Not a nice laugh, but a mean one. Mike was talking to his buddy, a guy who helped in the kitchen. "Good thing we kept the trash out tonight," Mike said, still chuckling. "That guy in the rags. He doesn't belong here." Tom's pencil stopped moving. His hand squeezed it so hard it almost snapped. Keeping the trash out. That's what Mike said about the homeless man. Tom's diner wasn't a dump, it was a home for people. But Mike didn't see it that way. Mike thought he could pick who got to stay and who had to go. Tom's face got hot. His heart thumped loud in his chest. He wanted to jump up and yell, "This is my diner, not yours." But he didn't. Not yet. He stayed quiet, his eyes like little fires under his cap. That's when Tom made up his mind. He couldn't let this keep going. His diner was broken, not the tables or the stove, but the way people were treated. Mike was turning it into something mean and selfish, and Tom wasn't going to let that happen. Tomorrow, things were going to change. Big time. He didn't know exactly how yet, but he knew one thing for sure: he wasn't just some guy in a booth. He was Tom Dawson, the owner, and he had the power to fix this. All of it. Tom closed his little book and tucked it back in his backpack. He leaned back in the booth, watching Mike laugh with his buddy as they turned off the lights. The diner went dark, but Tom's mind was bright with ideas. He wasn't done here. Not by a long shot. Tomorrow was coming, and with it, a big surprise. Mike didn't know it, but he just made a huge mistake. And Tom? Tom was ready to show everyone what this diner was really about. The next morning came fast. The sun peeked over the trees, shining soft light on Dawson's diner. Everything looked normal outside the little building with its red roof, the sign that said "Open" waiting to be flipped, the quiet street with a few cars parked. Mike, the mean cashier, showed up like he always did. He had his keys in his hand, jingling them as he walked to the door. He yawned, scratched his head, and unlocked the diner, thinking it was just another boring day. He pushed the door open, stepped inside, and then bam, he stopped right where he was, like he'd hit an invisible wall. There was Tom. Not in the corner booth this time. Not hiding in his old jacket and cap. No, Tom was standing behind the counter, right where Mike usually stood. And he looked different. Really different. His worn-out jacket was gone. His cap was gone too. Instead, he wore a sharp suit, black and shiny, with a white shirt and a red tie. He stood tall, his shoulders back, his face serious but calm. He didn't look like a traveler or a nobody anymore. He looked like someone important. Someone big. Mike blinked. His mouth opened a little, like he didn't know what to say. The diner wasn't busy yet, just a few early customers sipping coffee and eating toast. Sarah, the waitress with the tired face, was there too, setting out napkins. The cook was flipping pancakes in the kitchen, the sizzle loud in the quiet room. Everyone turned to look. Sarah's eyes got wide. The customers put down their forks and stared. Whispers started, soft and quick, like little bees buzzing around. "Who's that guy?" someone said. "What's going on?" said another. Mike laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was a shaky, nervous laugh, like he was trying to act tough but didn't feel it. He crossed his arms and tilted his head. "Who's this clown?" he said, pointing at Tom. His voice was loud, but it wobbled a little. He thought maybe Tom was some weird customer playing a joke. He didn't know yet. He didn't have a clue. Tom didn't laugh back. He didn't get mad or shout. He just took one step forward, his shiny shoes clicking on the floor. The whole diner went quiet, so quiet you could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Everyone watched, waiting. Tom looked right at Mike, his eyes strong and steady. Then he spoke, and his voice was calm but loud enough for everyone to hear. "My name's Tom Dawson," he said. "I own this diner and every Dawson's diner across the country." Boom. That was it. The big secret was out. The room felt like it shook, even though it didn't. Mike's face changed fast. His mean smirk fell off, and his skin went white, like all the color ran away. His eyes got big, and his arms dropped to his sides. He didn't say anything. He couldn't. Tom kept talking, his words clear and strong. "I've been watching you, Mike. Yesterday, you turned away a hungry man. A man who just wanted water. You treated my people like dirt. You acted like this place is yours to be mean in. But it's not. It's mine. And I'm done with it." The air felt heavy now, like a storm was about to break. Everyone in the diner was frozen, staring at Tom. Sarah's mouth dropped open. The cook poked his head out of the kitchen, his spatula still in his hand. The customers leaned forward in their seats, their coffee getting cold. Mike looked around, like he wanted to run, but his feet wouldn't move. Tom's words hit him hard, like a punch he didn't see coming. He'd been so rude, so bossy, and now oh boy he was in trouble. Tom wasn't done yet. He took another step closer to Mike, his suit shining under the diner lights. "I built this place," he said. "Not just this diner, but all of them. Every single one. I wanted them to be good places. Places where people could eat and feel happy. Places where nobody gets turned away. But you, Mike, you messed that up. You made it mean. You laughed at people who needed help. And I saw it all." Mike's hands shook a little. He tried to talk. I didn't know," he stuttered. "I thought," but Tom held up a hand, and Mike stopped. "You didn't think," Tom said. "You didn't care. I was here yesterday, sitting right over there." He pointed at the corner booth. "I saw you kick that man out. I heard you laugh about it last night. I wrote it all down. Every mean thing you did. And now, it's over." The diner was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Then, something happened. Sarah, the waitress who'd rolled her eyes at Mike, started to clap. Slow at first, just her two hands coming together. Clap. 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 Then the cook joined in, banging his spatula on the counter. Clap. Clap. A lady with toast clapped too. Soon, the whole diner was clapping, everyone except Mike. The sound got louder and louder, filling the room. People smiled. Some cheered. "Yeah," a man in a blue cap shouted. "Get him, boss," said a kid with a pancake on his plate. Mike didn't clap. He didn't cheer. He looked like he wanted to shrink into the floor and disappear. His face was red now, not white red with shame. He stared at Tom, then at the clapping people, then at the floor. He didn't know what to do. He'd been the big guy, the tough guy, the one who told everyone what to do. But now he was small. Tom was the big guy. Tom was the boss. And Mike couldn't hide from that. Tom stood there, letting the clapping go on for a minute. He didn't smile, but his eyes were bright. He'd been quiet for so long, watching and waiting. Now, everyone knew who he was. The secret was out, and it felt good. His diner was his again. And he wasn't going to let anyone mess it up anymore. Not Mike, not anyone. The clapping slowed down, and people went back to their food, still whispering about Tom. Sarah grinned at him, like she was proud. The cook gave a thumbs up from the kitchen. Mike just stood there, looking lost. The big reveal was done, and everything was about to change. Tom had taken charge, and nobody, not even Mike, could stop what was coming next. Tom didn't wait around after his big reveal. He looked at Mike, who was still standing there with a red face, and said, "You're fired." His voice was strong and sure. "Get your stuff and leave. Don't come back ever." Mike's eyes got big, like he couldn't believe it. He opened his mouth to argue, but Tom shook his head. "No more talking. Go." Mike grabbed his apron, threw it on the counter, and stomped out the door. Everyone watched him go, and the diner felt lighter, like a big cloud had lifted. Tom turned to the staff, Sarah, the cook, and a few others who'd been watching. "Come here," he said. "We need to talk." They gathered around him, still a little surprised. Tom stood tall in his sharp suit, his hands in his pockets. "This place," he said, pointing around the diner, "is about good food and good hearts. That's how I made it. That's how it's supposed to be. No one gets turned away, not ever. Not for water, not for anything. We help people here, okay?" The staff nodded. Sarah smiled a little. The cook scratched his head but looked happy. Then Tom looked at Sarah. "You," he said, "you're the new manager." Sarah's mouth fell open. "Me?" she asked, pointing at herself. "Yup," Tom said. "You're kind. You work hard. I saw you helping people, even when Mike was mean. You can fix this place. Make it good again." Sarah's tired face lit up with a big grin. "I'll do my best," she said. Tom nodded. "I know you will." News about what happened spread fast like wildfire. By lunchtime, the diner was full. Really full. The tables were packed, and people stood in line outside, waiting to get in. It wasn't just the regular customers, the ones who came every day for coffee or burgers. New people showed up too. They'd heard the story about the boss who cared. "Did you hear?" one lady said to her friend. "The owner fired that rude guy and made it nice again." A man in a trucker hat nodded. "Yup, sounds like a good place to eat." The diner buzzed with chatter and laughter, and the smell of fries filled the air. "And that homeless man? The one Mike had kicked out?" Tom didn't forget him. He went outside after the meeting, looking around. There he was, sitting on the curb a little ways down the street, his head down. Tom walked over, his shoes clicking on the pavement. "Hey," Tom said softly. The man looked up, surprised. "Come with me," Tom said. He brought him back to the diner and sat him at a table. "Get him a hot meal," Tom told Sarah. "Anything he wants." Soon, a big plate of chicken, mashed potatoes, and gravy was in front of the man. His eyes got shiny, and he ate slowly, like he couldn't believe it. Then Tom sat down across from him. "What's your name?" he asked. "Joe," the man said quietly. "Joe," Tom said, "how'd you like a job?" "Washing dishes." "It's not fancy, but it's work." Joe's face changed. A little smile came out, the first one in weeks. "I'd like that," he said. Tom clapped him on the shoulder. "Good. Start tomorrow." By the end of the day, the diner was a happy place again. People ate, talked, and smiled. Sarah walked around, making sure everyone was okay. Joe finished his meal and looked stronger already. Tom watched it all from the counter, feeling proud. Justice was done. Mike was gone, and the mean stuff was over. His diner was back to what it should be, a place for everyone. The sun was going down, painting the sky with pretty colors: orange, pink, and a little purple. Tom stood outside Dawson's diner, his hands in his pockets, just watching. Inside, the lights were bright, and people were happy. He could see them through the big windows, laughing, eating burgers, sipping milkshakes. Kids were dipping fries in ketchup, and grown ups were telling stories to their friends. The diner was alive again, buzzing with good feelings. Tom smiled a little. It wasn't a big smile, but it was real. He'd come to the diner in secret, dressed in his old jacket and cap. No one knew who he was at first, not Mike, not Sarah, not the customers. He looked like a regular guy, someone you might walk past without noticing. But now everyone knew. He'd shown them all he was: Tom Dawson, the boss, the one who made this place. He came quiet, but he left loud, with a promise in his heart, to keep making things right. Not just today, but always. Tom thought about everything that happened. Mike had been so mean, acting like he was the king, kicking out that homeless man, Joe. Mike thought he was big and tough, the guy who could do whatever he wanted. But he was wrong. Tom, the quiet one, the one nobody noticed, turned out to be the strongest. He changed everything. Mike fell hard, lost his job and walked away with nothing. And Tom? He stood tall, fixing his diner, making it a good place again. Sometimes, Tom thought, the person you least expect can do the most. You might look at someone and think, oh, they're not important. But maybe they are. Maybe they're hiding something amazing, like Tom was. Maybe they're waiting for the right moment to stand up and make things better. It's not always the loud ones or the tough ones who win. Sometimes, it's the quiet ones, the ones who watch and care, who really change the world. Tom looked at the sunset, the last bit of light disappearing. He felt good inside, like when you finish a puzzle and all the pieces fit. His diner wasn't just a place for food anymore. It was a place for kindness, for second chances, like the one he gave Joe. It was a place where people could feel safe and happy. And that's what he wanted all along. Hey, you. Tom's voice wasn't loud now, but imagine he's talking to you. What do you think? Could you be a secret hero someday? Maybe you're quiet like me, watching and waiting. Maybe you've got something big inside you, ready to come out. Tell me below, what would you do if you were the boss of a place like this? Would you help people? Would you make it fair? I want to know. Tom took one last look at the diner, then turned to walk away. The stars were coming out now, twinkling in the dark sky. He'd be back tomorrow, and the next day, keeping his promise. And maybe you'll be back too. Stick around, he'd say if he could. I've got more stories, fun ones, exciting ones, ones that'll keep you guessing. See you soon. Because here's the thing, anyone can be a hero. Even you. Even me. Sometimes, the ones who think they're big and tough, they're the ones who fall the hardest. And the quiet ones, they're the ones who rise up and shine.